Against the Current is sponsored in part by SurfPro of Pulaski and Laurel counties. When fire or water damage takes over your life, trust the team in green at SurfPro to help you make it like it never even happened. They provide 24/7 service when you need it most. Give the local office a call at 606-877-2160 or online at surfpro.pulaski-laurel-counties.com. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Today I'm joined by Mr. Brett Traver, Executive Director of Southeast Kentucky Economic Development, better known as SCED. Dan and his wife Angela and their daughter live here in Somerset. Brett is a native of McDowell, Kentucky. For those of you unfamiliar with McDowell, I had to research it myself, being from a small town in western Kentucky. McDowell is actually in Floyd County, which is in eastern Kentucky. Brett received an undergrad degree in communications from Morehead State University, where he also earned his MBA. Spent time in the military as a member of the Army, and after the Army, he spent 10 years as senior project manager for the Kentucky Cabinet of Economic Development. From there, spent 1 year as business strategist for Fond du Lac County.
Fond du Lac, yeah.
Fond du Lac, okay. Economic Development Corp in Wisconsin. He shared with me one winter in Wisconsin was all that took to get back down here to his roots in eastern Kentucky. Spent a few years back in eastern Kentucky as the executive director of the Morehead-Rowan County Economic Development Council before assuming his now current role as executive director of SCAD, where he's been now for about 6.5, 7 years. With all that being said, Brett, this is where I usually like to do some rapid fire questions. It's where you can gain significant credibility with all of our listeners here, or they may tune you out if you don't answer just right to their liking. So you got to be careful here. But without hesitation, we'll go ahead and knock into it. I did see where you're an avid bird hunter. So tell me, what is maybe your favorite place to bird hunt, or maybe a favorite trip you've taken to bird hunt?
Well, I just went back up to the north woods of Wisconsin with my brother.
Nice.
He had never been before, so we were in Price County. Not giving any specific honey holes or anything.
Got to keep those secret.
Yes, so it was a great week. Get the dogs out, got my brother out. He got his first woodcock, and it
Nice.
was just fun. It's just
That's awesome.
Fun way to spend a week for sure.
Well, Brett, kind of one of my social media presences this kind of turned into is that I'm on Saturday morning tradition in our household is we have what's called Pancakes Saturday. It's evolved somewhat into Waffle Saturday, and now we're kind of adding a few different breakfast items as we go. But it's always a tough topic in my house because we have to figure out what each member of the household wants. And so I'll pose the question to you: pancakes or waffles?
Waffles. Actually, my daughter Josie at 15, she made pecan waffles for us this past Sunday. It's Sunday
Nice.
for us. Sunday morning breakfast.
I like it.
Usually my wife makes some mean buttermilk biscuits.
Oh my!
So
Yeah, that'd be dangerous.
But my daughter wanted to have waffles, so she wanted them. She makes them.
That's awesome. If you could turn back the clock and give 18-year-old Brett a piece of advice, other than invest in Tesla, what would that be?
Be better at algebra.
Be better at algebra. I like it. Nice. Last couple questions here. What is maybe a favorite book that you're currently reading, or just maybe a book recommendation you have?
Well, the time I take for reading is often in spurts. So I'm not into anything right now. Other than I read subscribed to Smithsonian Magazine, read a really interesting article about Yellowstone Park and
Nice.
And the indigenous people that have lived and traveled through there over time. It was really amazing to hear that people from the Ohio Valley were traveling to Yellowstone well before we were here, and mining obsidian for arrow points, spear points, and things of that nature. So it's kind of hard to believe that they found stones in Indian Mounds in Ohio that originated from Yellowstone. So that's really neat to think about. So that's what I do now is a lot of magazine articles, things online, bird hunting articles. But notice in the past some of your folks on books that they've read in the past. One that always comes up in leadership for me is one nobody hardly ever hears of, and I use it. Hope is not a method, and by General Gordon Sullivan. He was Army Chief of Staff in the early 90s and reshaped the Army after the Cold War. And really interesting read from a great leader of men and women, how to reshape an organization that large and how it applies to all organizations, big and small.
I like that. I'd say that's the title alone has plenty of promise. So I'm sure I'll have to check that out, because I think too many businesses they let hope be their method.
Yeah,
and that's never going to work out too well. It may occasionally, but yeah, the odds are against you at that point.
Yeah.
Last question here: love to win or hate to lose?
Hate to lose. That's a statement that I've said for a long time. You remember your victories. They're great. You celebrate them when they happen. You put them behind. But I hate losing, and really got that early on in my life. Found that it was really applicable to my work with the Economic Development Cabinet. When I got out of the Army and started working there, to attract business and industry to Kentucky, you needed to be competitive. You needed to really want to win, because it's so important. That win is bringing jobs to the state or your community or your region. If you let hope be your method, or you settle and you rest on your laurels, you're falling behind.
I like that. Well, Brett, I've given kind of a 30,000 foot view of what SCED is and your role there leading SCED. So for those people that maybe don't know about SCED, or maybe they've heard of SCED, but they don't know exactly what you all do, how you all came about, help give us kind of a rundown a bit, and just help clue our listeners in a little bit more.
So we're actually going to be celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. So it's really kind of timely to discuss that. And, the history was Congressman Rogers and a group of volunteer board members came together in what was then the 25 counties of the 5th Congressional District. And they looked around, they saw that there were only two people doing economic development professionally in that area of southern Kentucky. And you got to think back to what was happening 35 years ago in Kentucky. Toyota had just landed in Georgetown, and a lot of work was going into attracting those suppliers and manufacturers in general, because of the multiplier effect when a new manufacturer opens in a community. And that group just wasn't seeing those projects. And that group traveled to the Commerce Cabinet Secretary and said, we need these opportunities in our region now as well. And that person said, well, we don't know who to call. We don't know where your sites are. We don't know where your buildings are. Go home, clean up your act, and be ready to work at this economic development. And it is a job. It's a journey, not a destination. You never stop doing it. And so they came home, got together, created the 501c3, put 25 county judges in a room together to say this, we need to fund this organization, and got it done, hired a professional economic developer to be that point of contact for the state and companies, and went to work at it with the communities that wanted to be real active, and had success at that. But we've evolved since then. I still work with communities on we have a lot more professional economic developers in our what is now 45 county service territory of southern and eastern Kentucky. As the 5th Congressional District has changed, but we've added counties, and now we cover almost all of the Appalachian counties of southern and eastern Kentucky. Evolved into many different into different things and that help pay the bills. One of those things is we're a small business lender or a large business lender for that matter. Everything from a $5,000 micro loan to working on projects and putting together financing of $2.5, $3 million for business and industry across the region. We don't necessarily do all those big loans all on our own. We have a lot of partners that we pull that together on. So we've got a great lending staff. We turn around our loans as quickly as anybody, and because we think speed is of the essence for business. Mm-hmm. And what comes often with those especially small business loans is our staff is really former business people, former entrepreneurs, accounting, real estate experience, banking experience. So what happens often is, and one of the things we do is a SBA micro lender. It's get it really bogged down in the alphabet soup of federal programs. We try not to do that. And if somebody says, I need a loan, we say, well, we'll get you a loan. We don't get bogged down in that alphabet soup. But one of the things we do is provide what's called technical assistance to businesses, whether they're borrowers or not. What the Small Business Administration has found in their studies and why they help fund us to provide that technical assistance or provide partial funding is that everybody's heard the statistics. More than half of businesses, new small businesses that open or close within 5 years. And I think that's, everybody know. We hope everybody knows that going in. Yeah. What SBA has found is that businesses that work with an organization like us and get technical assistance from organizations like us or others, we flip that. Those more than 50% of those businesses after 5 years are still in business because they've got that outside trusted partner in us and our staff. We bring in other resources as needed and referrals and help them navigate some of the issues of being a small business owner. Everything from real estate. We've helped folks register their business with Secretary of State to all kinds of different things. So we do that as well as, and that's across the board. It takes a lot of different shapes.
And I think I've seen too, I'm sure some other people I've seen online as well, just you mentioned the different resources and different things you help people with. And there's some social media presence too that I think you all help businesses with too, if you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have a program, that we developed here. We call BBoss Online, and a curriculum around that we help businesses with their online presence, social media. We give them the tools. We can't do that for them,
right?
But we steer them in the right direction. Determine what social media platform is best for them. With COVID. And the start of that, we were doing these classes around social media across our region on a regular basis, going to Prestonsburg every evening for 4 evenings on a Tuesday and meeting with 10, 12, 15 companies at one time. Obviously, you can't do that during this COVID pandemic. So our staff transitioned to every Thursday, coffee talk, Facebook Live. So love for your folks to go over there, look it up, and talk about different topics, take questions, and try to help businesses that way. And for your folks that are here in Pulaski County and Somerset, they probably drive by if they go through Ferguson. They see a $7 million rail park that we built with a nearly 80,000 square foot warehouse. It supports a lot of local businesses here. And, I joke, we've got a 78,000 square foot warehouse full of Kingsford charcoal, lighter fluid, and Duraflame logs. So that's always fun to insure. But when you think about that, and that pecan shells from California come to our rail park to get over to Duraflame. It supports 2 of the larger industries here in the region. more than 300, close to 400 jobs. That warehousing and things of that nature supports that. We have Blackboard in one of our office buildings out at Valley Oak Technology Complex, a few hundred jobs there, even though they're working from home and making that switch with COVID. So always new things that you've got to be prepared for.
Yeah, and I've had the luxury of getting to tour that Kingsford plant, going through the Chamber of Commerce leadership program, and really seeing step by step how the charcoal's made. Obviously, you can see the flammability of it all and how you've got to be critical with your processes to make sure everything goes as planned. But that was very, very interesting. So if anybody does get that opportunity to tour Kingsford, I think everybody would be impressed with that.
It's a heck of an operation. Somerset in the region has done such a good job at manufacturing. Really employs a lot of people in our region.
Oh yeah, definitely. What do you think may be the biggest misconception with what SCED does or what SCED stands for?
Well, I think we always have folks that call and say, "Well, we hear SCED has all the free money."
Yeah.
Right. You hear somebody gets a grant or a loan or something, they think, "Oh, well, we just call SCED and they've got all the free money and we don't have to account for it or things of that nature." So we work hard on that. I've got to say, if you stayed up too late watching TV and you've seen the guy in the funny green suit saying buy my book and I'll show you where all the free federal money is, and, save your time and your money. There's very narrow places that federal government or anybody makes grants to. And so it's a really narrow window solving a problem, usually, for the federal government. If you own a small business, regardless of what it is, other than a situation like we're in right now with COVID, there's not an opportunity for free money. Although the Paycheck Protection Program is out there, anybody that's been through it knows that it's a process, and you're working with your local bank to get a loan. What starts as a loan, and then you provide the documentation that it gets it forgiven. But our money is lent money. We borrow the money more often than not from like I said, the alphabet soup federal programs, and we're charged with lending it out to businesses to grow jobs in the region, and that's what we work towards.
And you bring up an interesting point there, especially a timely point there with the Paycheck Protection Program loans going on right now. And when this episode airs, it'll still be going on, and hopefully there'll still be money available in that pool. Can someone that's wanting to seek that process and seek loaning or seek funding through that loan, can they contact SCED for that?
We're not a PPP lender. We just do not have the resources to be able to do the loans ourselves, but we refer folks, and really, I've talked to a small business owner just at the end of last week, and the advice I gave her, and the banks are just now getting ready to open a new round of PPP loans. I don't think they're quite open yet. The application is out there on SBA's website. I advise people to go ahead and pull that, and start getting that information together if that's what you want to pursue. But we're very fortunate in our region to have a great network of small community banks. You don't see Bank of America and Citibank and those organizations in a lot of many of our communities.
Right.
And I think we're better banked by our community banks, and our community banks really stepped up during the pandemic and got on board. Even those that weren't SBA lenders, they had to do a lot of work really quickly to be able to make those loans, and they did it. And I think they're going to continue to do it under this program. So our advice is, you've got a banking relationship, whomever it is, go there first.
Yeah.
Go directly. If you've got a loan with them already, go directly to that loan officer that you have a relationship with and say, we think we qualify. This is why. This is the application. We want to do this through your bank. And 9 out of the 10 times we heard that worked. There were a few times that we heard that it didn't, and we were able to refer some folks to banks that were doing PPP loans. I'd advise folks to, your squares, that are making loans, PPP loans, and those online lenders. I've heard mixed results on those, and I would start every day with our local banks.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like you said too, and people see it in insurance too. Most people prefer to deal with that human interaction when they can, so they can get that better guidance rather than going on Google or calling that 1-800 number and hoping it works out.
And start early and start now. The next round is open until March 31st, so it really is kind of a narrow window.
Yeah.
At least for right now.
Right.
And be flexible because things change. I mean, that was one of the things. I was staying up really late at night every night, reading the latest and greatest guidance, and then it would change.
Yeah.
So there's some nuances in this new legislation that is a little bit different from the CARES Act that was done earlier last year.
Mm-hmm.
And SBA is getting that guidance out to all the lenders now as we speak.
Okay. I want to circle back around now to I know we talked about the rail park there in Ferguson, and we talked about Kingsford. SPED has been around now for this will be 35th year. What are, if you can speak to them, maybe some success stories, maybe on small scale, and not even necessarily here in Somerset, but maybe the Lake Cumberland region or any of the counties you all serve that maybe stick out to you as something where a business owner came to you all and you all helped them kind of get off the ground, and now it's grown to what it is now.
Oh, wow. There's preceding me. I mean, Greg Jones worked with all the communities around here on projects. I remember when I was in the economic development cabinet, I worked with Greg on, for Blackboard, for example, when it was called, I think it was called Presidium Learning. It was, and it was 15 people, and it was in a corner of the building that we had. And they got purchased back by Blackboard and grown. The student services work a lot, obviously. So that's one example. Jumping in the way back machine. Yeah. Well before I was here, but funny that I had kind of that tie to it. You've had Mr. Ray from Modern on an earlier one. And they bought the Safe Auto building. Well, I was a project manager working with Greg and the Development Foundation then to bring Safe Auto here. While, they didn't get to the job numbers that we all hoped that they had, they still got people working from home in the region. And that building's been an asset to the community and now is being used by a homegrown company. So, again, I think that just points to that economic development is that journey, not a destination. You work at it. The competitiveness of it is that more often than not, you're told no than you are yes. Especially on those economic development attraction projects where you're trying to get that new company, like Blackboard, Safe Auto. You think about it. I mean, at some point, all of those, Hendrickson, TTAI, UGN, all the way back to GE that was open decades and decades ago, and that plant finally sunset its life here in Somerset. We're attraction projects, and you get a lot of no's before you get yes. And that's kind of the secret underlying that is everybody thinks, companies are always coming to communities left and right. And that's just not the case. It's a long project. It's a long haul. Somerset and Pulaski County's done a good job at it over a long period of time. We serve some communities in our region that would kill for the success that Somerset and Pulaski County has. And I tell them, I was in a development office here years ago, and there was a map on the table dated 1965. was when the Development Foundation bought its first industrial property.
Yeah.
1965. And they'd worked to get GE before that.
Right.
And come together as a community. So it's a long process. And Chris and Speeda has picked up that mantle and is doing a really good job. But you just got to keep working at it. Just keep chopping wood every day. And you get told no a lot. You don't hear about it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's supposed to be.
What I guess maybe what is more of your all's clientele or the business you all work with? Is it primarily new business? Is it existing businesses maybe looking to expand, looking to grow, looking for help? What's kind of that mix for you all?
It depends on what you're looking at, really.
Yeah.
You get busy doing the work. You don't parse your data maybe the way you would want to. Looking back, our number of loans are predominantly to small business. Volume.
Right.
Dollar volume is completely different because we may put together, a project that we have $300,000 in, or $750,000. We're getting close to closing a deal that'll put $1.5 million into an expansion for a company that we work to recruit to the region, and we're partnering with a bank to make that happen. The other half of that.
Yeah.
So, we want to talk to everybody. If you want to bring jobs or want to add employment to the region, we want to talk to you. We want to figure out a way, whether it's with us or some other way, to help make it happen. Partner with the right communities and other organizations. We've approved a loan to transition a one-person shop to another one-person job. Somebody wants to retire. We don't need to lose that service and somebody wants to pull that off. So it really does run the gamut. And that's what makes it fun. If it was just the same thing over and over again, I would be bored, and I know most of our staff would be bored. We're all pretty entrepreneurial, like a new challenge, and that's what we see.
You spoke there a little bit about recruiting new businesses and recruiting maybe expansion projects and working with other community banks. What does that process look like for SCED when you all are brought into the mix, or even when you are leading the charge on maybe it is recruiting a business or leading the charge on expansion of a business? What does that look like?
Well, more often than not, we're a partner, and that's where I want to be. There are situations, Ragent Corporation that located in Moorhead, was a project that was brought to us by, came through the congressional office, talked to the president and CEO of the company, wanted to look at the entire region. So that's perfect opportunity for us. Somebody says, hey, I want to look from Moorhead, Ashland, Pikeville, Somerset, London, Corbin, all these places at one time. We were able to do that. I picked Bob Skana up at the airport on a Wednesday morning. We drove around for a couple of days, met and brought those local community economic development professionals into each of those stops and those communities. Nice. Okay. He could get a taste and a flavor for whatever community had to offer.
Sure.
And he landed in Moorhead. Other situations, and I'll use one all the way over in Salyers-ville, McGoffin County, Logan Corporation. They were located actually in Martin County, in a regional industrial park there. We're looking to expand. They did not have the facilities there to be able to expand. And they were working with Chuck Sexton at One East Kentucky and the area development district to find a place to go from busting at the seams at a facility with 30 people, I think at that time. And just so happened nearby in Salyers-ville, Joy Mining had just recently left the building, over 150,000 square feet. That's a bad day, obviously. But here's a company that has been around for more than 100 years, headquartered actually in West Virginia, that had shifted their focus in mining industry. They still serve the mining industry, into making custom dump truck beds, and we're very successful at that. Well, to grow that, they moved over to Salyersville, bought that building, financed that actually with a state program, and early on we helped them with financing or equipment to help make that move. And they've been a great partner for us and with us. We've done other loans and programs with them. They're doing an expansion right now, adding on to their building, bringing on this big piece of equipment. It's kind of hard to believe, you make a dump truck bed, and at the end of the process, they were hand sanding these things, 4 or 5 guys.
Oh, wow.
Sanding. Well, they make this piece of equipment that you hang a dump truck bed from called a Wheelabrator. And it goes into that, and it's bead blasted.
Sure that's a cheap piece of equipment too.
Yeah, and it's bead blasted with metal shot, and then it comes out of that ready to be painted.
Yeah.
So we're helping to finance that expansion so that it frees up their man hours. It's taking so many man hours out of that prep.
Oh yeah.
So that those employees can go do something else in the process. So I talked about their life cycle from 30 people in Martin County. Now they're above 100 people in Salyersville.
Yeah.
And continuing to grow. So it's really a great story.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. Something we've had conversations about this, and on this episode too, talked about that you all aren't necessarily a line item in anybody's budget. It's the programs you guys have created that have helped fund the opportunities that SCAD has, and being able to employ the people you have, but then also to be able to help businesses throughout your 45 county region grow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a magic wand here, or maybe let you pull a rabbit out of a hat, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to give you, say, an extra $10,000 a month in your budget. If you had that, what else? Where would you spend it, I guess, and why?
Well, that's an interesting question. I was hoping you were going to tell me a couple of $1 million to lend, because that's what we do. We get it back out into the region. But $10,000 a month, that is a program. How would we expand, and what program would we expand, and how would we do it? We add a person. Right now we've got partners in our supplier education and economic development program, or SEED. Everything has to SEED. Everything has to have an acronym. But we're working with small, medium-sized manufacturers, with our partners at Advantage Kentucky Alliance and the Kentucky Procurement Technical Assistance Center, to help companies get better at what they do, be that through quality management systems, or implementing Lean or Six Sigma, to looking at their marketing materials and how they find new customers, to how do they work with the federal government or large defense contractors or folks of that nature, to expand that program, bring a person on to help those companies, find some subcontractors to help them with things that we can't do. Because really we look at that multiple employee opportunities to really grow the economy. My predecessor here had a saying, we're not going to grow the economy by cutting each other's hair. Some of us are obviously more a negative in that point than others. But we got to build the businesses to scale, that can go from 5 employees to 10, from 10 employees to 50, from 50 to 200. And how do we do that? That's really, if I had that magic wand of $10,000 extra a month, it'd be some combination of how do we grow the economy. Do we squirrel it away and make a new loan fund out of it sometime? Or how do we get that into services to businesses to really help them grow, and what that is? And we just ask our businesses what they need, and try to build programming around that.
I like that. Good answer. You passed the test.
Yeah.
What do you see on tap for 2021 for SCED, and maybe even a 2-part question, either way you want to take it, for your 45 county region, for our area as a whole?
Well, the elephant in the room is COVID. We've
Sure.
still got months before we've got a vaccine out to enough people that we can do whatever. And I hate the term new normal, whatever that is. The change is change, and we're always going to have it. It's just been accelerated through this process with more people working from home. And that's going to stay that way. More people using Zoom, and that's going to stay that way. I think businesses are going to see that. For SCED, we're going to continue to adapt. We're working hard to bring more capital into our organization this year so we can get it back out into the businesses. We've gotten more than half of $1 million worth of funding through the Economic Development Administration that came to us through the first CARES Act, and so we're getting that money out to business and industry so that they can deal with COVID. And we're keeping an eye on what's in this new legislation and what it could bring to SCED in the region. To me, those are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're this organization. We obviously, I've got 8 employees here, and we care about them deeply. They do a great service to the region. How do we keep those folks doing what they're doing? But by doing that, we're working in the region. That's what we want to do. So we're really looking at how do we bring the funding in, we can get out to the region. How can we better implement the services that we do, be it SEED, BBOS, our technical assistance to businesses. And that's going to change, with COVID. Everybody feels like there's light at the end of the tunnel because there is a vaccine. Mm-hmm. That's months into the future, I think, before we have the scale that we need.
Oh, yeah.
And also, you got to look at what the lagging trends of those impacts are.
Yeah.
Is a business that makes it to the end of January able to keep going for the foreseeable, for the future. Those impacts. They've worked hard to stay in business now. They got to keep digging because it's what we saw as an organization for the region. The impacts of the Great Recession of 08, 09, 010, ripple through to the end of 2010, 2011.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So the same thing's going to happen with the COVID impacts. They're going to continue to filter through the U.S. economy, the state economy, and the regional and local economies.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right on that. Well, I want to be a good steward of your time, so I'll try and wrap this up here a little bit. If someone is interested in working with SCED, what would be the best way for them to reach out and get that process started, or to see what that process looked like?
Well, our email address, or our website, is SCED, SKED corp.com.
Okay.
UORP.com. And we're not an organization that if you want to contact us through our website, that you've got to fill out this form. You don't know who it's going to. You can click on any one of our staff members' email address and get an email directly to us.
Okay.
Phone number 606-677-6100. You can ask for me. You can ask for anybody on our staff. Ask for me. I'll get it to the right place and the right people. I keep the phones hot. If I haven't been, not been able to keep the roads as hot as I'd like to, obviously in the past 8 months, but we visit people, we talk to people. We're hands-on with our clients and future clients as well. Took that call last week from a small business owner over in London. She's a one-person occupational therapist shop that obviously COVID has impacted. Getting her steered to that right PPP lender, but she has plans to grow. So she has a business plan on how she wants to grow her business. So we talked for a little bit. I said, look, the person you need to work with is Amanda Kelly in our office, because she works with small businesses and helping them grow. She was a manager for multiple businesses right here in Pulaski County. Now she works for us and helps people through that. Then if they need capital to grow, we shift focus over into our loan department with with Karen Minton or Chris Coldiron.
Yep.
And we help them with the financing side and everything in between. So you go to our website, find any of us you want, phone number, email's real easy, brett@skedcorp.com. 2 T's, by the way. And our mission is to respond to folks within 24 hours. We don't. Nice. If somebody calls me or sends me an email, if it's it leads to a lot of 5 o'clock on a Friday phone calls, because I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you back. You won't hear you won't hear from somebody on staff that day.
I know a lot of times too, people sometimes are a little timid maybe to reach out because just a lot of times they feel like maybe, this is a stupid question, or they don't want to hear this question, or for whatever reason, there's a fear that kind of keeps people sometimes from reaching out to get help. Are there any tips or I guess ideas or suggestions you'd give people to help better prepare them when they do, or even to encourage them when they are reaching out to help maybe make that process go smoother?
Just pick up the phone, send that email. Just do it. I mean, it's really that simple. If you have a small business now and you've had it, or you're thinking about it, you're obviously doing something and that the vast majority of the population isn't doing or is even thinking about it. Again, that person in London, she's like, they're real hand wringing. Is this a stupid question? Am I big enough to need the help? How do I get it? People are proud of what they do and don't want it. We like to help people. And talking to that person, I spent probably half an hour on the phone with her before I said, okay, now Amanda's going to pick up from here. But she told me, she adjusted from COVID, from going to nursing facilities that wouldn't let her in anymore, to getting a space to rent, so that customers that she was doing on something else had a place to go. She was talking to parents whose kids hadn't had occupational therapy treatments for months because of COVID.
Wow.
And she just found it out by something else, and all she needed to do was get a space for them to come to. So she did that. And then talking to her, she has a CPA that she talks to on a regular basis that does more than just does her taxes at the end of the year, but provides business assistance, business advice. And I just told her, I said, you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
So many people, they sell themselves short. We don't want to see that. We want folks to succeed. And sometimes that means, we will tell folks the hard truths that they maybe don't want to hear, but we also provide the encouragement that many need.
I like that. And I think that's a perfect point to kind of close this out on that. I'm not even going to continue to articulate on what you said because I think you absolutely nailed it. But I do want to thank you for taking the time to come in on the podcast and talk more about your position with SCAD. And we really appreciate everything that SCED 2 is doing for not just our community here locally, but like, again, your 45 county region there covering all of Eastern Kentucky and all the areas that you all are providing a tremendous impact for. So I just want to say thank you for that and just appreciate you.
Well, Adam, I appreciate the opportunity to tell our story. You can tell I'm passionate about it.
Absolutely.
I love what we do. I didn't know people did this for a living 20 years ago when I left the Army as an NCO. And I couldn't imagine doing anything